Your favorite booktuber of all time just accomplished the greatest read a month ever, reading a total of 3 books. Oh, I can't. Hey book babe, March obviously wasn't the best reading month in terms of how many books I read. But I did try new genres last month, and I have a little bit of news for you as we finish this video. Last month, I actually tried some self-help books. Now this is new for me because I really didn't think I was like a self-help book type, but I was recommended Brag Better and The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Flip, so I thought I would try it out. Brag Better was pretty great. I think it made some great points about how quiet people tend to think our work is just gonna speak for us, and she's very honest that it doesn't. People who are loud and are always talking about what they're working on and who are just very confidently bragging are the people who get promoted, who get opportunities. And in a fair world, it would be the person who actually does the work, but we all know it's usually the loudest person in the room. This author is really trying to push you, especially if you're a woman, to actually brag better, really put yourself out there, really explain your work, what you're up to, what you're doing. Now I had to reread a lot of this a bunch of times. Maybe that's why March was also a little slower for me, because I'm like, okay, this is self-help, this is guiding you through steps, and I just don't think you can read it once, understand it, and move on with your life. I think you really have to process it, figure out how you would apply it to yourself. And so I ended up rereading this book like 5 times throughout March, trying to fill in the prompts that she left for me. And I do have to say that I admire the author for explaining her privileges and how we all vary with privileges in life. But I also appreciate her real life client examples because this is her full-time job. Overall, I wouldn't say it's my absolute favorite, and I feel like I still have to reread it again to really figure out how I would actually apply this for myself. And I feel like I connected way more with the book for Brown Girls with Tender Hearts and Sharp Edges by Priscilla Moreno, maybe Priscilla something. I really liked her book. I just feel like I connected a lot more with it, with my experiences through college and being Latina and what it means to break so many statistics, you know, of actually graduating college, of being like a grad student, like all these different things. Maybe I connected a lot more with that book than Brag Better. I'm just wondering if those would even work for me, but not a bad book. I can't say the same for The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Flip, because that book was very much for your stereotypical white male. I feel like he made really great points of you're gonna suffer in life, so you have to figure out what's worth suffering for. You're always gonna be stressed out, so is the stress you're currently living worth it for what you're aiming for? Are you exhausting your energy in too many spaces? What is the metric you use in life to actually measure success? And what does that mean if you're super miserable and you know you just can't make it, or you have all these successful things besides you but you don't actually see it as success because your metric is drastically different? Like, we can look at some people and say like, oh my gosh, they're so successful, they were featured in this and this and this, but maybe to them they're like, I will only be successful if I have my own talk show and I'm not just featured. I feel like those points made sense. The rest of it, however, he was really disgusting, honestly, in the way he talked about women. He even brought up Jennifer Aniston's like private areas and how it's too bad, like we have to let some dreams go, for example, never being able to touch her in that way. And that just felt just so off-putting. I'm like, you don't need to be saying all that, and I can't believe that's even in your head when she is her own person. All these different things he said throughout the book was very clearly like, okay, this is not for me and it wouldn't work for me. And let's be real, there is a ton of research that shows that women who are more boss women are considered aggressive, the B word, rude, like entitled, cold, rough around the edges, whereas they describe men with similar traits as a great leader, assertive, inventive, innovative. Even though we've come a very long way, women are still expected to be warm and to still be, you know, reasonable, because you can't be too emotional or no one takes you seriously, but you also can't show you don't care at all. You can't just ride people, but you also can't be like too nice or you won't get anywhere. And a lot of his advice was to be very aggressive, was to be very cold and nonchalant. And I think for anyone else, a guy with that type of attitude might come off as like cool and collected. But for a woman, we might come out like the B word and just like uncaring and cold. I really don't think that would work. And I also started thinking, how would this especially look if like a woman of color were to practice this way? And I think the word I kept coming to was like aggressive, because a lot of women of color are described as violent, when in fact a lot of the times our passion can be mistaken for aggressiveness. Do I have real life stories about that? Sorry, just had to switch the lighting a little bit. That got dark real fast. I was just looking at this like, I don't think I can apply this to myself, or I'm gonna come off very, very poorly. And I did look at other reviews, and yeah, he does take from a lot of other philosophers. Yeah, it just wasn't so great. I'm so sick of pushing through the book when it just sounds like some broski giving me like advice that doesn't even make sense for me, and at the same time is telling me that like, women don't really take a part in this type of atmosphere and behavior. Future Joanna popping in here real quick. I know we're only on 2 books out of 3, but if you are enjoying these shenanigans, boot the subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed. I love trying new things on this channel. Definitely keep it honest and would love to connect. The only other book that I read during March was actually Gods of Jade and Shadow, and oh my gosh, I enjoyed that one a lot. So I'm glad I had something that I really enjoyed, because that was a really nice read. This is an adult fantasy book, but I just really liked all the Mayan lore in there. I like that it was so Mexican, and I thought it would be like from back in the day, because these are about gods. And while they do bring them into the story, it actually takes place during the 1920s, way more forward in time than I expected. It's very similar to the City of Brass, where you have this orphan girl that doesn't really have family. No one really wants her, and she accidentally calls upon a god. So right away I was like, I'm sure I'm gonna like her. The author, Silvia Morena, was so good at just really showing dynamics. You do get different perspectives. It doesn't really say like, oh, now we're in this perspective or this one. The narrator just kind of follows along. She was a really interesting character, and there is some romance in here. Honestly, by the end of it, there were some lines that Morena wrote that were just so beautiful. It made me like gush a little. The romance is not the main thing in this book. It's really family dynamics and generational trauma. It's about identity. It's about finding yourself and how you've lost yourself and where you set your self-worth. I really liked those themes in this book. And every time I thought, I was like, okay, what's gonna happen? Like, how is this gonna end? The author really made us go in deeper into these themes and therefore into these characters. I was kind of sad by the end of it. I'm not gonna spoil anything, obviously, but I wish there was a sequel to this book, but I'm pretty sure it's a standalone. Correct me if I'm wrong. Our MC is very interesting. She's just so peculiar, especially in a world that is pretty cold. She's also encouraged to be cold, even by this god. He's like, you should think about yourself a little bit more. And she just feels so much empathy and is thinking about the world. I think that's what makes him really connect with her and fall in love with her. I really recommend it. Sometimes, you know, fantasy just sticks to like London, France, you know, just Europe, and that's it. That you don't really go into other spaces like the City of Brass that takes place in like Cairo and Egypt and like all these different places. And then now you have one here, and Gods of Jade and Shadow takes place in Mexico and a little bit of California, but it was really nice to read and really beautiful. Like, I wish I had the physical book, and my ebook was returned earlier than my audio, so I finished this in audio, and I really wish I read those words. Like, I had my eyes on the pages. Some of those lines were just really nice, and the narrator was a little bit distracting. They still did a great job, of course, but it was a little bit distracting from the actual writing. I'm probably gonna get my own copy, if not put it in my book wish list and pray for Christmas. So those are my incredible 3 books, and I mean, I'm not upset about it either, because it was something very different. It was something very intentional, and if you haven't checked out my last video, please do. I talk about the whole feeling like reading slump, high expectations, what it actually means when you're in a reading slump, really exposing all the pressures of the book community. So I'll link that down below so you can check it out after this video. I'm excited, you guys. I am actually going to the LA Book Festival, so that's coming up this month. very exciting. There are a few bookstagrammers that have reached out already that they will be there. So I'm excited to meet them in person. I'm still making a bunch of friendship bracelets. I took some to a book club that my bar studio actually hosts, and everyone loved the bracelets so much. And I saw a bunch of them wearing it during class. Someone else messaged me that they actually wore it at work. And it just made me so happy because it's the first time I actually made friendship bracelets. So I'm really glad they're like holding up, that people really like them, and a lot of them had a really hard time choosing. And I can't wait to pass them out at the LA Book Fest. So if you're there, catch me outside, give you a bracelet. Which also brings me to the fact that you'll see a few more videos about the LA Book Fest. The last festival I went to, people kept asking about the dress that I was wearing. So I thought maybe it would be fun to do like a pack with me where I actually show you like the full outfits and not just like a quick glance. Let me know in the comments if that's something you would be interested in, but I'm definitely gonna do it over on Instagram because I had a few people ask and they're just so freaking sweet that people are even like curious about my haul that I recently did. I'll be building like a little cart as well. It's just gonna be like a really great time. And then on the topic of Book Fest, I was looking into going to Y'all West. You guys know I'm a YA reader. I love YA. This is actually held in Santa Monica and it's in May. So it immediately follows the LA Book Fest. I was thinking about it because originally I wasn't gonna go, but after experiencing Tucson and now I'm gonna go to LA, I think I really wanna hit up Y'all West, especially when a few people that I've known for a while over on Instagram from Colorado said they were gonna go to Y'all West and would love to meet me in person. And honestly, I would love to meet them too. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should go. I also know that my girl Reading with Chloe is gonna be there as well. I haven't met them in person and I would love to. So I'm more and more convinced that I should go. Let me know if you're going to any of these as well. We could maybe find each other. And then lastly, I've been playing with the idea of hosting and having my own book club for a while, since probably last winter, fall. I brought it up a couple of times and I even did a little poll. I did get like positive response. I know there are a lot of great options out there though. So I have just been thinking like, how do I want to do this? Do I want to do it like a vote thing? Do I want to do it only virtual or only in person or hybrid? I don't know, but let me know if that's something you would also be interested in doing. I think I'm figuring out what I would like this book club to look like. I of course have like names already picked out for this, and it's been really nice learning from other book club hosts and book club leads. But I realized when I attended my bar's book club that I just really loved chatting with people, like connecting, giving recs later on, like handing out friendship bracelets. It was just such a great time. That's really what I loved about the Tucson Festival and why I'm gonna go to the LA one, because I really like connecting with people like in real life, just hanging out and chatting books or chatting about anything and actually just connecting. It made me a little bit more excited to think about this book club. That is also in the works. It is also something I'm thinking about. Short, quick makeup because it's a short, quick wrap up. There we go. I honestly had such a great month connecting with people in real life, going to book festivals, planning for future ones. I know I didn't get to read a ton, but we tried new genres on this channel, more genres for the pie chart at the end of the year. So that's exciting. And I can't wait to give you a bit more content around the LA Book Fest. Thanks for hanging out with me, babe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.